deal with it. And now, I see the likes of Alcaraz and others, they're complaining about, the length of the tournaments and being away from home. I understand him. I understand them. I mean, I don't like it too. I think that tennis really needs a reset of some kind on a bigger level. I think that our tours, respectively, are not functioning well at all.
After losing to Carlos Alcaraz at Wimbledon, worried or ready for the next battle? This funny and honest message says a lot about both players. Stay tuned till the end and see what Djokovic really thinks.
I think I always have a chance. I think I earned my right to really feel like I can go all the way to the title. I've had arguably the most consistent success on any Grand Slam here in Wimbledon in the last decade. The last six editions I played 6 finals, so always enjoyed myself playing on this court, except when I play Alcaraz in the last couple of years. But other than that it was great. Look, it's just the beginning of the tournament. There are many fantastic players in the draw. I'm going to be playing a Brit next round. That's going to be a tough one.
Novak Djokovic watched another Wimbledon slip away without him lifting the trophy and still found the energy to drop some real talk about Carlos Alcaraz. The man who once owned this grass court like it paid rent to him sat back after the tournament and delivered comments that mixed heavy praise with that classic Djokovic sarcasm.
One thing I was trying to bring to the attention of the players was that, they have to understand fully the background of this 30-year deal in order to see how they are not actually benefiting as much as they think they are. The additional 3-4 days of the Masters event does generate much more value for the tournament than for the players.
People expected the usual polite handshake stuff, but what came out felt more like a seasoned veteran sizing up the new king while reminding everyone he is not done yet. Djokovic reached the semifinals at Wimbledon 2025 before Jannik Sinner sent him packing in straight sets. Sinner then took the title from Alcaraz in the finals. Djokovic pushed through the draw, picked up his 100th Wimbledon match win along the way, and showed flashes of the old magic that made him untouchable for so many summers. Yet the body complained louder than usual, and the younger guys moved faster and recovered quicker.
They are investments that are also going against the prize money and their negotiations with ATP, right? So they are justifying these investments back to the ATP, and ATP, or us, players and tournaments of the ATP organization, get the benefit and the profit of the stadium revenue only for the duration of the tournament, which is...
Instead of sulking in silence, Djokovic opened up about the current state of the game and zeroed in on Alcaraz as the prime example of where tennis sits right now. He basically admitted that Carlos plays at a level that forces everyone else to bring their absolute best just to survive a couple of sets. Djokovic pointed out how the young Spaniard combines power, creativity, and that endless energy tank that makes him dangerous on every surface. He called the kid's achievements historic and legendary without any hesitation. Coming from a guy who has 24 Grand Slams in his cabinet, that kind of praise lands differently. It is not every day the old guard hands out compliments that sound this genuine while the grass stains are still fresh on their socks. The sarcasm dripped when he talked about facing the Spaniard again and again over the next decade. Fans heard that and wondered if Novak was being optimistic or if he was low-key challenging the universe to keep him healthy long enough to cause more chaos. Either way,
there's a lot of things that is happening in the backstage, meetings, and relationships are not going in the right direction. Grand Slams are the pillars. Grand Slams are going to always be Grand Slams. They're always going to be the most important tournaments we have in our sport. But respectively, I think the tours have to look into the formats, rules, calendar. There's a lot of complaints from Latin American players that have a shorter season. Latin American players have been for decades producing some of the best.
The schedule complaints doubled the layer to the whole story. Djokovic openly backed Alcaraz and other players who have spoken out about the crazy travel demands and time away from home. He said he completely understands why these guys feel exhausted from the never-ending season. Here is the funny part though. The same Novak who used to play every tournament like it was his last, now sounds like the wise elder statesman telling the new stars to protect their bodies and push for changes. It is almost as if the guy who built his legend on pure grind is now warning the next generation not to burn out the same way. The sarcasm writes itself when you picture him saying that while icing his knees after another long grass court campaign. Alcaraz, for his part, keeps proving why Djokovic pays him so much attention. After winning Wimbledon back-to-back in previous years, he ran into a buzzsaw named Sinner, yet he refuses to let go without a fight.
First time I played him, he was 11 or 12 years old. No, he was, I think, 18 or 19, and you could already see that he's destined for great things. But of course, a lot has changed since then. He has improved physically, mentally, game-wise. I mean, he's constantly looking to innovate himself in his game, which is exactly the kind of mentality that needs to be nurtured for a champion. It's never enough in terms of settling with your game.
That tension between respect and rivalry makes their story so entertaining for fans. One guy built his career on mental steel and return games from another planet, while the other bounces around the court like gravity forgot to invite him. Djokovic did not stop at surface-level praise. He highlighted how Alcaraz pulls together the best pieces from the greats who came before. The intensity and fighting spirit remind people of Rafael Nadal. When a 24-time champion breaks it down like that, it feels less like hype and more like a scouting report from the final boss. Tennis nerds ate it up because it validated what everyone sees when Alcaraz steps on the court. The kid does not just win, he entertains while doing it. The humor in all this comes from the age reality check. Djokovic keeps showing up at slams looking trim and focused, yet the scoreboard and the recovery time tell a different tale. He pushed Sinner hard in patches during that semifinal, but the Italian's precision and power proved too much on the day.
It's always something that appears, so I have to primarily think about myself, my body, and how I also perfect my game. And once I'm on the court, how can I get the most out of myself in tactical sense to be able to win against the guy across the net. Of course, Yannick and Carlos are, the dominant force of men's tennis in the last couple of years, and I do think about our matchups a lot, of course, and when I get a chance, I always try to learn something new.
Djokovic walked off center court with his head high, knowing he gave everything possible at this stage of his career. Then he turned around and delivered that message about Alcaraz that mixed admiration with a subtle reminder that the old dog still has bite. Sarcastic fans online immediately started joking that Novak was basically saying, "Congratulations, kid, now move over so I can steal one more title before retirement." The bigger picture reveals how tennis has shifted. For years, people talked about the big three dominating everything. Now the conversation centers on Alcaraz and Sinner trading slams, while Djokovic tries to crash the party like that uncle who refuses to accept era, while still keeping one foot firmly in the present. That balance is what makes his comments so interesting. He is not bitter, he is realistic, with a side of wit that only comes from 2 decades at the top.
It's never easy to speak after a loss, but please just give us your thoughts on this wonderful final.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. Not so good for me, but good for Carlos. I have to start obviously with praises to Carlos and to his team. Amazing, what a quality in the end of the match. When you had to serve it out, you came up with some big serves and big plays, so you deserve it, absolutely. Congratulations.
Fans who followed the tournament closely noticed how Djokovic handled the loss with class. No long press conference rants, no excuses about grass speed or line calls. Instead, he focused on the quality of the opposition and what it means for the sport moving forward. He sympathized with the physical toll the modern calendar takes, especially on someone like Alcaraz, who plays with such explosive movement. The message carried a clear undertone. These young stars are incredible athletes, but the system asks too much from their bodies if they want to chase every title. The guy has dealt with elbow surgery, knee problems, and every other ache that comes with playing elite tennis into your late 30s. Yet here he stands, still competitive at the biggest events, dishing out advice wrapped in compliments. It is like watching your grandpa beat you at basketball and then telling you to stretch better next time. Alcaraz represents the future, full stop. Fast, strong, charismatic, and already stacked with major titles. Djokovic knows that future arrived faster than expected, which makes his respectful yet pointed comments even funnier. He is essentially saying the kid is phenomenal, but the veteran still plans to make life difficult for him whenever they meet.
Many other underlying reasons why I completely am against and was always against this 30-year deal. The players got the shorter end of the stick, but they wanted that, they pushed for that. I was against it. I was at the point president of the council, but I didn't have enough executive power myself to vote against it, and that's it. And now they have...
Transitions between surfaces make the whole rivalry spicier. Grass at Wimbledon favors big servers and quick movers, and both players excel there for different reasons. Djokovic used to slice and dice opponents with precision returns and unmatched court coverage. Alcaraz attacks with variety that keeps defenders guessing until the point ends. Their past finals delivered absolute classics, and even when one dominates, the respect between them stays obvious. Djokovic's latest message after this Wimbledon reinforced that mutual admiration while adding layers of humor about future battles. Some fans celebrated the praise as proof that Alcaraz belongs in the all-time conversation already. Others saw it as Djokovic planting seeds of doubt or motivation for himself. The truth sits somewhere in the middle. Djokovic genuinely appreciates what the younger generation brings to the sport. At the same time, he refuses to fade quietly into the sunset. That internal conflict fuels some of the best sports stories, and right now, it centers on these two players, who could not be more different in age and style. One built an empire on consistency and defense. The other explodes across the court like a highlight reel that never ends.
I haven't played a player like him, ever, to be honest. Roger and Rafa have their own, obviously, strengths and weaknesses, but Carlos is a very complete player, amazing adapting capabilities that I think are a key for longevity and for a successful career on all surfaces.
Beyond the individual matchup, even Carlos Alcaraz used the moment to talk about bigger picture issues. The packed calendar, the travel burnout, and the need for structural changes in the sport all came up in his comments. He backed Alcaraz for speaking out because he has felt the same strain for years. It is refreshing to hear a legend admit that the demands might be too high, even for the fittest athletes. Of course, the sarcasm sneaks in when you realize Djokovic himself kept playing through it all for decades. He is basically telling the new stars to learn from his mistakes while he continues making a few more on purpose just to stay in the mix. The young champion already holds multiple majors and shows no signs of slowing down. He celebrates wins with pure joy that reminds older fans why they fell in love with tennis in the first place. Djokovic, ever the competitor, probably watches those celebrations and smiles because he remembers feeling the same way after his own breakthroughs many years ago. The circle of tennis life spins fast these days. The 2025 season wound down after Wimbledon. The conversation kept circling back to Djokovic's words. They carried more meaning because he could have stayed silent or offered generic praise. Instead, he delivered thoughtful analysis mixed with that dry humor that defines his personality. Fans love it because it feels authentic. No scripted corporate answers, just a champion reflecting on the state of his sport and the rising star leading the next wave. The rivalry, if you can even call it that anymore given the age difference, adds flavor to every major tournament. Whenever Alcaraz steps on court, people wonder if Djokovic is watching and taking notes for his next comeback attempt. The Serbian legend has defied expectations so many times that nobody counts him out completely. His message after Wimbledon served as both congratulations and motivation, and the joy that points toward the future. Their interactions, whether on court or through public comments, create moments that transcend simple match results.
What do you mean, our level? Because he's already at that level. I mean, in terms of tennis, you mean results-wise or game-wise? Results, I mean, he's on the good course, but he's just started. So, it's only a few years that he's been playing on the top level, but he's already two-time Grand Slam winner, #1 in the world, last year. I mean, it's amazing what he was able to achieve so far for only 19, 20 years of age.
The latest message from Djokovic fits perfectly into that tradition. It was honest, funny in places, and full of respect without being overly sentimental. He called things exactly as he sees them, and the tennis world is better for it. The physical reality of the sport cannot plays with that fearless abandon that sometimes leads to wild celebrations and occasional cramps in long matches. Both approaches have merits, and the contrast makes their stories compelling. Djokovic's comments highlighted those differences while expressing genuine admiration for how the younger player handles the pressure. It is rare to see a veteran analyze the next generation with such clarity and wit.
What happens the other 50 weeks is everything is going in the pocket of the stadium owner. So this is just one example. I mean, there's many other underlying reasons why I completely am against and was always against this 30-year deal. The players got the shorter end of the stick, but they wanted that, they pushed for that. I was against it. I was at the point president of the council, but I didn't have enough executive.
Looking ahead, the schedule will keep testing everyone. Majors, masters events, and endless travel demand recovery strategies that go beyond simple ice baths and good sleep. Djokovic urged leaders to rethink the structure, and his support for Alcaraz's frustrations carried extra weight because of his long career. The sarcasm emerges again when you picture the guy who once played 80 matches a year, now telling others to slow down. He lived the grind, survived it mostly intact, and now offers wisdom earned through pain and triumph. Alcaraz will keep improving and adding layers to his game, but when they do, fans will remember this latest message as the moment the torch passed with a handshake, a joke, and a warning that the veteran still bites. Tennis remains lucky to have both of them in the mix at the same time. One era ends while another begins, and the transition feels electric because of personalities like these.